My colleagues who I represent both. I have a Portchester and a Harrison. My colleagues who represent communities that are not on that list, Mount Vernon, New Rochelle, Yonkers, they're saying, wait a minute, we still want money. We still want county money, like a Portchester. We still want to provide affordable housing to our constituents who can't afford that housing. And they're getting nervous that the county administration, maybe the legislators, say, no, the first $51 million out the door is going to Bedford, Lewisboro, Yonkers, Mount Vernon, Portchester. Forget about it. One could argue, you got your money, we've got to spend over here. And I'm telling my colleagues from Yonkers and Mount Vernon are very unhappy about that. We haven't resolved that yet. We don't have an answer. And I'm sort of in the middle, because I could have Portchester constituents and political leadership saying that 35-unit townhouse project at Fox Island Road was great. Get us another one. And I may or may not be able to do that depending on the discussions at the county. So went into Fox Island. Yes, the 51 million people in Portchester, you're right, in their share of county taxes over the next 7 years will provide that piece of the 51 million in a Scarsdale and a Lewisboro, but money is already into Fox Island, and depending on the leadership, we may want more money coming into Portchester. I may or may not be able to get it.
For me, and for the dialogue that I have with our residents, it really just comes down to what they're paying in taxes. So I think the average person living in a modest home in Portchester is really not too concerned, frankly, about where the affordable housing money coming in from the county. They're concerned about what their taxes are going for, and well, if we're paying more money now in county tax for litigation, and frankly, I think that if you pose that argument to the average taxpayer, was educated on the topic, they would say, you know what, if I have to pay for the litigation and then you want me to pay more money for more affordable housing in Portchester, because it's going to come from my taxes anyway, don't bring it. I
would be happy to have a discussion on the, please come to my meetings, because first of all, especially in Rye Town, the county tax, it's downstairs on your wall. It's about 16-17% of your tax bill is your county tax.
Right.
I voted against that. I wish that we would have fought for it. I voted against that settlement. But understand, and I'm in a somewhat of a unique situation. My constituents from Purchase, from Harrison, call me and say, okay, wait, what's county government? I get nothing out of county government. And to a large extent, they're right. And if you live anywhere up north, there are no county buses up north at all. No county bus service. And we put $35 million of county taxes into buses. So across the county, a lot of people pay county taxes and give their people in Portchester, honestly, get their money's worth.
Right.
Unfortunately, which is why Portchester is number one for CDBG, because we qualify.
What's CDBG?
community development block grant funds, Portchester gets more federal money than any other municipality in Westchester, because unfortunately our demographics in Portchester, as a per capita incomes and the demographics, qualifies Portchester for more money than anyone else. And you start, whether it's Medicaid, whether it's all the social services, and food stamps, and WIC program, and bus service, you go on and on. People in Portchester, one could argue in that vein, at least get somewhat, maybe not every single person, but collectively the village of Portchester gets more, takes advantage, if you will, of county services a lot more than my constituents in Harrison, than most of the constituents in northern Westchester. And I tell them, frankly, you're lucky. You're lucky. If you're not homeless, you're not a victim of domestic violence, and you own a car so you don't have to take a bus, maybe you take your kids to the playland. That's all a lot of people know about county government. They take their kids to the playland. After that, what is county government? I never heard of it. Get rid of it. That's their attitude. And I can appreciate, if you don't know what it is and you never use it, I can appreciate the idea. People, including a lot of people in Portchester, need county government. That's the long and short of it.
Very good. Thank you, Marty.
Thank you. One point that will be very short.
Sure.
If it should come up again, and we hope it will, the legacy field at Portchester
Yes.
Middle School, I felt that the last time we addressed it, we suffered from a bit of an information gap here. And I think it would be great if perhaps you or someone on your staff could come by and sort of lay the story out, exactly what we're being asked to do, why we're being asked to do it, so that we don't feel like we're under the gun, just somebody just dropped in like a jack in the box, was here today, gone tomorrow, and now we hear about it 6 months later.
Well, I appreciate it. And,
Well, that may be partly my fault, too. I mean, I try to keep the words.
and to some extent, I didn't want to raise expectations. It's a fair point, but I didn't want to raise expectations, working with the supervisor, and two, it was and it's still a little touchy, and I know we're on TV, this is on the record, because this was the first, and still the only time, a school district, school property, is being used for and I was kind of working gently with the administration and trying to make the case that this was important enough and worthwhile enough. But I honestly, even to my colleagues, I wasn't I wasn't sharing a lot of information, even with some of my colleagues, because I didn't want them to say, "Oh, I'll do it for my school district." I was trying to work this quietly. I was working with your supervisor and the previous supervisor, Frank. This goes back a while. But if there was, to the extent I may have not kept hearing talking loud, because I was frankly trying to keep it low key, and I want to raise, even now, I didn't want to raise expectations with where it is now. We may not get it, and your board,
no expectations.
but your board, you committed funds, and we did the flood studies, and that's all done, and that came in positive. So again, I appreciate what your board did, but it's dicey when you're dealing with what I think is a very good project, but you don't want to raise expectations. As soon as someone hears about it, you may not want to raise expectations, but once we start talking about it, oh, it's going to happen, when's it going to happen? And so I'll take the blame in not highlighting it, if you will, until we knew we really had a good shot at doing it. I didn't want to raise expectations to the public.